thank you for that warm welcome. Cannot quite believe I'm doing this. Okay, you may be wondering why I'm here dressed as Wonder Woman. I am, okay, but there are a number of reasons. Firstly, I am, as a parent of a child with liver disease, and I've been asked to come and talk today, halfway through the week, my very supportive husband listened to my talk and said, Claire, it's really boring. You're going to have to do something to spruce it up. Why don't you wear an outfit and then no one will recognise you afterwards? There's another reason why I chose Wonder Woman in particular, and that's because I actually think, and a lot of you liver mums out there will relate to this, being the mother of a child with liver disease, you do feel rather like Wonder Woman sometimes, juggling family and a job and children and medication and hospital appointments. So that's why I chose this particular outfit. But as it happens, stupidly, I mentioned it to a few people midweek when I decided I might do it, and now I have to do it because I've had over £200 in sponsorship. And that kind of brings home what I'm going to say in my speech, is that actually it's finding those opportunities that are happening anyway to fundraise. Okay. I'm actually mum to 2 children, husband to Pete, and mum to Thomas and Eleanor. Thomas is 9 and he does not have liver disease, and Eleanor is 5 and she does. And I have to say this morning, I decided my job as a parent was complete when I overheard my daughter say to her older brother, ha ha, you haven't got liver disease. So you can't go on the trip to Drayton Manor Park. Okay, so I've been asked to talk to you about what CLDF means to us as a family. And I'm going to do that in the context of journeys, because I do feel that our journey with Eleanor and with liver disease very much is a journey. And on that journey, I'm sorry, I can't do any talk without mentioning Birmingham Children's Hospital in particular, but I know it's the same goes for those parents at King's and at Leeds. I do think that Birmingham Children's Hospital provide us with fantastic support. In fact, actually, I'll get on my soapbox right now and say to you, if you judge the NHS by the staff, the dedication and the sheer hard work and compassion of the staff that work within it, rather than the political agenda going on around it and the funding it receives, then it is world class, in my experience. Now, I have a fantastic consultant and she is very family focused. She has a young family of her own, and I find it very easy to talk to her about how I'm feeling emotionally, but I don't want to. You see, I kind of see her as supporting me, giving the map, giving me the compass and the walking boots and the practical stuff to help me on my journey, but I do not want to clutter up my very important appointments talking about how I'm feeling, all right? And that's where CLDF comes in, because I kind of see their role on our journey with liver disease as holding our hands and providing us with the emotional support. But as we're talking about journeys, I would say that childhood in itself is a journey, all right? And the destination that you're hoping to get to is an adult who is well-rounded, who is happy and who is healthy. And if I had to liken Thomas's journey through childhood so far, it would be like being in a car on a motorway, very straightforward, going in one direction, and there are lots of other families on that journey with us. Eleanor's journey has been very different. Eleanor's doing very well at the moment, but even so, her journey's been rather like being on foot, winding country lanes, lots of twists and turns and hills, and the occasional pothole, and it has not been an easy one. So how has CLDF helped us with her journey particularly? Well, Eleanor was diagnosed at 3 months old with PFIC type 2, okay? And when we were admitted to Birmingham Children's Hospital, I was in a state of sheer panic, all right? It came from out of the blue, I wasn't prepared from it. And the consultant we had, Jane Hartley, who's here today, and all the other medical staff were fabulous in the way they communicated with me, but I was absolutely rubbish at listening and hearing them. I could not absorb what was being said to me at that point. And that's where I came across CLDF, because Dr. Hartley gave us a pack of information from the charity within the first 24 hours of being admitted. And I could take that information away when the ward was quiet. I could sit when Eleanor was asleep and I could start to read things through. And it was really simple stuff like who's who in hospital, what's a registrar, what's a consultant, what kind of liver test to expect on the liver unit. And that was vital because I could start to piece it all together and to make sense of what was going on. That kind of, I apologise for these pictures, but I need to bring it home. That kind of support continued for us. So when I actually returned home from hospital, within a couple of days I had a phone call from the charity. And I was very grateful for that. Because at that point, I was having to almost counsel my own family about what this diagnosis meant. And I didn't really understand it myself. But to have somebody faceless on the end of a phone who understood a bit about liver disease and understood a lot about what families go through was incredibly therapeutic, because I could talk. In fact, I cried a lot, and I was able to talk and not feel I had to protect them from how I was feeling. Sometimes it's just knowing somebody's there. I don't have to ring a lot, but I know that when Eleanor's itching's been at its worst, and she's been up 5 or 6 times in the night, and I've wanted to cuddle her because that's what she's needed, but I couldn't because actually touching her made the itching unbearable for her. And then I get up in the morning, and then I have to get my son up, get my daughter up, sort them out, and sometimes go to work. It's knowing that actually there's somebody at the end of the phone if I need them, that I can just say, do you know what, this is rubbish. And so that is enough for me in itself. But this is an incredibly isolating disease. There's no support group down the road for me. There's no parent 3 doors down who's going through the same stuff. And the very groups that I used to go to for Thomas when he was a baby and helped me and made me feel I wasn't alone, those groups actually made me feel even more isolated. I remember sitting, crying over my baby, in a group full of women who were all talking about how much they'd been up in the night and how difficult motherhood was. And I can remember thinking, your baby's younger than my child and twice the size of my child. I've had to stop breastfeeding because she's not putting on enough weight. And actually, it made me feel worse. And at that point, I could only look at my baby and see liver disease. I could not see Eleanor. And that's why these opportunities like today, and the bowling days, and the other events, family events that are put on, are incredibly important. I cannot stress that enough. You see, I had no healthy point of reference for her. The only other children I'd come across with liver disease were on the ward when she was 3 months old. And I was surrounded by children who were incredibly poorly by the nature of the fact that they were there. And so, meeting up with other families and starting to see, actually, there's a different possible outcome for this journey was really important. Talking to other families about where they were, where they'd been, and seeing children post-transplant who were really healthy started to help me to look at my baby and see Eleanor rather than just seeing liver disease. Those events, by the way, have become more important recently because they've been an opportunity for Thomas to meet up with other siblings. And for Eleanor, who asked me at 3 years old, do other children at nursery have blood tests like me? For her to actually meet other children who do have the same kind of things going on for them. So they're becoming more important as time goes on. So how do we give something back? Well, early on, I think we've touched on this, it was the big stuff that mattered. I needed some focus for my anger and my negative energy. So I faced my nemesis because I do not do sport that makes me feel like my lungs are about to collapse. And I ran a 5K for the charity, and it was therapeutic. And what I realised is it became my antidepressant. And I was able to use that as a natural antidepressant and still do to this day. I convinced the rest of the running team to do the same thing, and I raised over £1,000. And actually, that started me on a very positive turn to my journey. But I also feel it was important for family and friends because what I realised is they needed something tangible to show their support for us. So they wanted to donate, and I was just gobsmacked by their generosity. But I realised very soon that A, I didn't have the time and energy for that big stuff, And B, there's only so many times you can go back to the same people and ask for more money. And so what we've come to realise is sorry, that's another run that I did. What we've come to realise, it's the smaller stuff that works. It's the turning any party or wedding anniversary into an opportunity for a donation. It's my husband's realised that the annual holiday that he does with, cycling holiday he does with his ex-school friends, he's allowed to go on it if he says, I'm doing it in aid of the charity. So that works very well for him. Eleanor's Auntie Jane, my sister at the end here, she's a professional musician. She regularly puts on concerts free, and I go and talk at them and people donate. We've got a lot of godparents for Eleanor, and they're fantastic support. There's John, he's done a number of runs. We've got both of his sons who've done marathons and half marathons. We've baked cakes until they're coming out of my ear and sold them at school. We've done non-uniformed. Lots and lots of opportunities. But actually, why do I need this charity to continue to do their work? Well, I actually remember Dr. Hartley saying to me on about our 5th appointment, Claire, it doesn't matter how you word it, the answer is going to be the same. Your daughter is going to need a liver transplant at some point in her childhood. And I still find that very frightening, because I know it means I've got to watch my little girl get very sick before that happens. But I take a huge amount of comfort from knowing that this charity will be there for us. I need them there for us. I need their young person's officer there for Eleanor, so that as she becomes aware of her condition, she can ask questions that she can't ask me. I need their peer mentoring. I need those opportunities for her to link up with other children in her situation. I need their advice and guidance for schools, and I need their funding for research to continue. Okay, so Eleanor's journey continues, and we don't quite know the destination, but one thing I have come to realise that is it's a much more beautiful one than Thomas's. We've taken time to admire the countryside. We've had to stop and admire the views. And you know, whilst I wouldn't wish liver disease on anybody, I can't actually say that I regret the fact that Eleanor's taught us to appreciate every precious, wonderful moment of the here and now on her journey. And I am going to read you very quickly something that I try and read without crying. And I think it's been read before. I use it with parents that I work with who have a child with autism, but actually I realise now it just applies to parents of children with liver disease just as much. And it's called Welcome to Holland, and this summarises it for me. When you're going to have a baby, it's like planning a fabulous vacation trip to Italy. You buy a bunch of guidebooks and you make wonderful plans. The Colosseum, the Michelangelo David, the gondolas in Venice. You may learn some handy phrases in Italian, and it's all very, very exciting. And after months of eager anticipation, the day finally arrives. You pack your bags and off you go. Several hours later, the plane arrives, and the stewardess comes in and says, "Welcome to Holland." Holland, you say? What do you mean, Holland? I signed up for Italy, and I'm supposed to be in Italy. All my life I've dreamt of going to Italy, but there has been a change in the flight plan, and they've landed in Holland, and there you must stay. The important thing is that they haven't taken you to a horrible, disgusting, filthy place full of pestilence, famine and disease. It's just a different place. So you must go out and buy new guidebooks, and you must learn a whole new language, and you'll meet a whole group of people that you would never have met. It's just a place. It's slower paced than Italy, less flashy than Italy, but after you've been there a while and you catch your breath, you look around and you begin to notice that Holland has windmills, Holland has tulips, Holland even has Rembrandts. But everyone you know is busy coming and going from Italy, and they're all bragging about what a wonderful time they had there. And for the rest of your life, you will say, yes, that was where I was supposed to go, and that is what I had planned. And the pain of that will never, ever go away, because the loss of that dream is a very significant loss. But if you spend your life mourning the fact that you didn't get to Italy, you may never be free to enjoy the very, very special and lovely things about Holland. So I just want to say, on behalf of me and my family, thank you to CLDF for helping us on our journey.